Hey everybody, welcome to A Dad's Life, and today we're going to be continuing our work on Buddy's Enclosure. So let's go out to the workshop and get started. Hey, we're in the workshop and we left off with Buddy's enclosure of completing the sides and cutting the hole out for the glass, but we haven't attached the bottom yet. So in this episode I'm going to get as much work as I can done. I'm going to try to get the top cut out and set the grate for his ventilation, and hopefully maybe I can get the base cut out for it that the enclosure will actually sit on. So let's go ahead and get started. So the base of Buddy's enclosure, we're going to go ahead and remove the base and start making our pocket holes for our screws to go ahead and get this base secured. So let's go ahead and get that now. So what I forgot to mention was, before I did the bottom, where I'm actually screwing into a piece that's only 3/4 inch deep, I actually moved up our set here on our pocket hole jig to where it's just shy of 3/4. So using our 1 1/4 screws, I don't have to worry about the end of the screw going through the sides of our material. So we have our top piece here, and right now I'm going to go ahead and lay out our mesh that we're going to be using on the top of his enclosure, which is just an ordinary sheet of metal that is perforated in order for us to have adequate ventilation for Buddy. So I'm going to center this in the top and go ahead and cut this out. We're going to inset it and then come around the edges with trim so it'll look nice and neat. Now that I have this marked out, I'm going to take a circular saw and cut within the inside of this line. I need to leave it with just enough space at the ends so that I don't overcut my marks, and I'll cut the rest of it out with the saw. So I'm putting the blue tape down here so when the saw cuts on the back side, it doesn't splinter the surface and it leaves it nice and clean. Now, as you can see on the top side, I have these edges cut really nice and crisp, and where the saw stops on the bottom side, I'll go ahead and cut the rest of this out with a handsaw. Looking at the edges, I can see that I need to come in with a little bit of sandpaper and clean these up to make sure they're nice and straight to receive my inlay. So I've got the 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch pieces that I'm going to inlay here and go all the way around, and then when I put my mesh, it'll sit on this slip, and then I'll come back with another trim and then put on top of it, and then that's all we'll need to do. So let's go ahead and cut these up and get them installed. Now that I've got the shelf coming in here for our screen, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and start drilling pocket holes to secure it to the side of the enclosure. Okay, so I have the screen down that's inlaid into piece with my mesh top that's up here. I've already went ahead and wiped up the glue that goes around the edges, and then once this dry it'll be ready for sanding. I have one little piece that I need to cut off flush, but after that this should be ready to be installed into the enclosure. So we finally have the top completed. It's assembled. I still need to sand it and finish up a few touches on it, but for the most part it's completed. Now I'm going to move on to the base. So keeping with the same theme of the project, the corners I'm going to be using these 3-inch blocks for the corners, and for 2-inch for the railing that's going to connect the two. The reason why it's 2 inches compared to the 3-inch corners is for the heating mat. The heating mat has a power cord that's going to supply power to the heating mat that's going to be connected to the bottom of that glass. So I'm going to give it a little reveal that goes around the bottom of it so I can have enough room to run any wirings need to be for that heating mat, or maybe something along down the future. I don't know yet, but we'll at least have that reveal that goes around the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and complete the base and get it all screwed down. that's it for today, guys. We got Buddy's enclosure fully assembled. All the wood pieces are cut, they're all screwed. We got everything enclosed. The only thing we have left to do now is a lot of the finishing work, sanding, and then come back in and install the VCT flooring around the back, the sides, and the bottom. And then we'll get the glass inlaid. I have ordered the tracks for his sliding glass doors up front. They're already here. I just need to order the glass for those tracks, and then I'm probably going to replace the glass I originally was going to use for the bottom to a nice thicker glass, just to make sure that there's no issues with weight or some pieces that I put into Buddy's enclosure. Now, if you enjoy the content, please hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. And then, as always, I'll see you next time.